Yes, friends. Now in this video, functionality options command and another functionality. So we will use the another functionality of the pivot table in option command. How to add any formula, how to view the formula in a solver command, then how to filter different functionality with using of pivot table. So in this video, we will discuss. In the previous video, we will discuss the show value as, and now in this video, summarize value as we will also show in the previous video. Now in this video, we will show the particular command on the basis of option command. It will be ready. So now we want to use this command, and yes, difference value of this is also another command. It will be used for that. So now I will share my screen and check the another command also. Yes, this is a data from the regions and value, date, regions and value. You can see here. Now I want to use the particular value on the basis of value. So we want to use this value. Then how it is value is put out the value in a difference between commands. So we can use this difference between command on put out this value. So now put out this value on the basis of this one command and want to use this command. Go for the insert pivot table, new worksheet. This is called a date. This is called regions value. Regions value is central, and this is called a total value. Total value is a particular totally for the difference between value. Show value as particular difference from the another value. This is difference from date and all these things. So we will use the previous command, date from previous command. So we'll be use this previous command. So this is a particular difference from one value to another value. So I want to put this command on one value to another value. So we can use the putting this value on. This one is summarized value is. Then if we will use the this one data, yes, this one data. If I am using this one is data, then how it is useful, this one is data. This is some plus text and some text two values. Here is a some text two values. Now we want to add a GST on the GST. Now want to use the GST command, then we will go for the data tab, then go for the pivot table optional command. We will go there, and in optional command, this is a calculated field. In the calculated field, this is GST. What do you mean by the GST? GST is a sales plus tax plus sales plus tax multiply by if 0.05. This is 5%. Then add this field. Now you can see here, this is add this field. Now I want to check this field. How I want to check this field. I want to check this field on the so I want to use this field on the sum of the GST. This is called as a GST value. So we will put out this value on the basis of 5% of the GST. So we will plus this value on the basis of GST. Now we want to use this GST function and option command. We will go for the list of formula. So here we will list of formula. You can see is a sales plus tax multiplied by 0.05 percentage, 0.05 percentage. So it will be solver this value. On the solving this value, we have to know about the which one formula is using from this data. So we will use this data on basis of this one. Okay, friends. Now we will discuss this is some of the GST. So the GST value is put out the value. On the basis of this one, we have to put out the value. So we have a clear idea about the particular value. So we use this value. On the basis of this one, we have to calculate the GST and show the option and how to put out the option. It is called as a value field item and a calculated field, solving order, list of formula, solve order. This is a if it is calculated field, for example, I will update the calculated field. This is GST. Then we will update this formula also. This is called as a GST. We can add the formula, we can delete the formula, we can adding or delete anything of this formula. So we can use this formula on the basis of particular value. So we can add, update, delete on the particular basis. Now I want to use this formula on the basis of options, then fill item sets, then calculated field, then here is a formula of the GST. You can see the formula of the GST. Now you can update the formula. For example, it's at 10%. Now it's update the formula, modify any value, delete any value. You can delete and modify any values. Now it is here, we will delete the values and OK command, then the field is deleted. Now the GST value is not available. So make sure that whenever you are creating the pivot table, when you are cross tabbing, it's a cross checking of the pivot table. At that time, you have to clear idea about that if any other formula is not using in pivot table, because pivot table also using any formula and any wrong figure will be also come. So make sure that any formula is not used in the pivot table. So at that moment it will be usable and no any reverse calculation. Yes, this all are the values are not a reverse calculation, because of this all are the value is putting coming from other values. So it will be perfect value, it will be not any, but in this value you have to options value and go for the GST command. So this is all are the different command, it will be used this different command also. Okay friends, then now we will use, now it's fill item set is clear now. Calculated item, calculated field, list of formula, all this value we will use. All this value it will be, all this value it will be uses this value. On the basis of this one we can create a, we can create from this one. Now, we want to use from the particular fill item sets and the particular values. Now the calculated fill, calculated item, solving order, list of formula, it's now clear. Now, if we were gone for the data tab and go for the data tab on particular command, for example, if I am putting here December value, for example, here is a, you can see the sales plus tax on the particular January 05, this value is 53087. On the data tab, if the Jan value, if I am updating from this Jan value, it's a January value, we will update the sales plus value. For example, if I am updating this value, this one, now you can check that this value is not updated here because we cannot refresh the data. So if I'm not refreshing the data, that time it will be not the refresh. So that time we will go for the data and refresh all. Now you can check the value is refreshed. In the first part, when we have a start the pivot table, at that time we have discussed this point is pivot table is always return the particular value on the basis of refresh value. All the value is stored in the catch value. So make sure that all the values stored in the catch. When we have a refresh this value is automatically refresh it, and it value is refresh the all the data. So all the data, this all are the values stored in the catch. So at that time all the value is refresh it. So it will be written as a. Now we want to connect the new added data. Now Now we want to connect the added new data and how to new data is added to in our file and how to useful is our file. Then we will use this file on the basis of the data, how to useful this data. If the new data is added, this is only for updated data. This is not a new added data, right? This is called a updated data. If I am adding a new data, if I am add the new data, then how we will add the data? For example, if I'm adding the data on this value is, for example, if I'm adding here the new row, new data, this is converted to the table first. Yes, this is converted to the table. If I am changing any value, then it's okay, it is updated. If I am not converted this data to the table, for example, this design and convert to the range. So it will be convert to the table, right? Now I will put out any add the data. For example, if I'm adding this data, for example, I'm adding this data from the December one double triple 00901. If I'm adding this data, here I am add the data. For example, add the data. We can add the particular data on this particular value. For example, here is the adding of the data. This is add of the data, and add the data. We will add the data in 06. For example, it's a 06, right? So we will add the data in a 06. We will show that here the value in a 0405, and 06 is not available. So 06 product is not available. Now we have to refresh this data. Go for the data tab and refresh all. It will be not refresh because the data is not converted into the table. Yes, if the data is not converted into the table, then at that time you have to update any data, then it's okay. It will be automated updated. For example, if I'm updated this value, for example, this value, now this value is very big data. I'm seeing here, this is very big data. For example, I will change the data 12 only, right? We cannot convert this data to the table. So now we have to click on refresh. This total is automatically converted. So in this manner, we can only update the data. At that time, refresh is not, at that time, table is not important. But yes, when we are added new data, at that time, refresh command is more useful. Now you have to clear idea about this. When our data is added, at that time we have to use the particular value, add the value on the using of table. But whenever you can use the update the data, at that time we cannot use the particular value. We cannot use this particular value. So make sure that you have to use this value on the basis of this one. So you have to clear idea about the particular value you want to use this, right? Now, data refresh on. Now we want to delete this row. For example, 06 row is the control. Sorry, delete this row. Now we want to convert the data into table part. Now you can see the convert the data into the table part. Control shift down arrow key, date, insert and go for the table part. This is called as a table, right? Now this data is converted to the table. Now we will go for the insert pivot table. Okay. Now you have to see here the month, sales before tax, sales tax, sales plus tax, sales before tax here. This is called as account. We will convert it into sum. This is our basic pivot table. Now what can we do? Here you can see the December total is, we can add the product code also. We will add the product code in the December month. Product code is only for 04 and 05. 04 and 05. Now you want to do this, the particular value. It's a 1000901. 29 December, this is a value. Now this is value is 06. Now you can see here, this is your data. Go for the data, refresh command, refresh all. Now you can see here, the data is coming. If the data is converted to the table, at that moment only possible when we are added data. Because why it is possible? Now you have to clear idea. When we create the pivot table, at that time it will give the reference of the table number 5. So when you are add anything, when you are delete anything, table will be automatically updated. And when you are not creating the table, at that time it's converting to the range. So at that time it is not updated. Range is not updated. Range is a fixed. it will be not updated. So at that time it will create a problem. Otherwise else it will be as it is for the particularly value on the basis of table. Now you have to clear idea if I am using the data table or not. For example, if I am using this pivot table, for example, I am doing this pivot table, insert pivot table in the existing worksheet and location. For example, if I am doing this value pivot table, I am doing pivot table ranges this one, and okay. Now the pivot table create here. This is existing worksheet. This is called as existing worksheet. So you want to use this existing worksheet. So you want the pivot table as a two-way when we are using the existing worksheet. Otherwise, you will be used as your worksheet. At both the way, that is a completely fine. But as my point of view, you can create a new worksheet. That is the best option when you are create the pivot table, right? Action, if it is clear all action, clear all action. This is all the action are clear. If it is select and clear all the action, entire pivot table. This is entire pivot table selected. This is refresh all, change the data source. This is all are the data source. So you will be use this data source on the basis of the pivot table. Now, this one is a created, fill item sets is created, show value as is also created. Show value as is also created. Now we want to use this row label on this. This is all are the ultimately filter command, but we will use the row label also. For example, I want to use the color combination. Uh, this is called as a conditional formatting. Conditional formatting, I am highlight the colors. Highlight the color is greater than 50,000. 50,000, it will be highlighted with a light color, right? So light color, it will be highlighted. All the values highlighted with the light color. So light color, light pink color, we will show the light pink color. If I am showing this value, yes, we will right click on this, then go for the pivot table option. In a pivot table option, we will just show the pivot table option. Here is a no value is blank value. For example, we will December value. Yes, data 6, all the value, for example, is blank. December 6, all the value is blank, and December 5, some value is blank. Now you can see here, we will refresh for data is refresh all. Then you can see, yes, this is a blank row for the 5th and 6th, one value is blank. Now you can see here, we will click on this command, then go for the pivot table option and fill particular display. Display, and in just a minute we will go for the first one. For error value show, when it's error, and here is a not any error, but in any place if it is error, then display the zero value. For empty cell show, if it is yes, empty is available, so it will display no value, for example. Okay, for this, so we can find out this value. This value is no value because this value is empty value, so it will be empty value, empty error value. For example, if I'm putting here for formula, sorry, in options command, we have sometimes it will be display the error when we use the difference from, and from the January, and 00, if any types is any, no, it's any is not coming. For example, I will, yes, any sometime is coming from, we can use the difference from on the basis of product code. For example, the product code, no one is coming. If I am using sales before text, otherwise sales text, on the basis of this one, and is coming or not. Yes, if it is any place Anna is coming, at that time you have to display some options value, options parameters. So we want to use this parameter on the basis of this value. Here is a not a completely Anna comes, so we cannot identify the particular value. It will be display the zero value. Fine, it's a completely fine because we have to check some error. If it is any types of error is coming in the pivot table, then at that time you will be uses zero value. Auto column with its update previous cell formatting on update down the over and over the down. For example, over the down reporting filter is zero, then over the down value. So this is called over a down formatting. This is down to over. This is over to down formatting. You can see here we can change the option is pivot table options, and we will use the down the over. This is called as a down to over value. So you can use this parameter. Now sales tax, we don't want the sales tax here. We only want the data. So this is called as a data pivot table options, and here you can use the over the down, and okay, this is over down value. Now we can use this merchant center cell with a label. This is only character value. Grand total from row and grand total for column. Here you can see that grand total is coming. Yes, grand total is coming from your side. Power table options. If I am disable both the value, and okay, this is grand total value is not coming from your side. So make sure that all other pivot table options you have to completely okay with this pivot table option. So you have to easily create this pivot table with using of Excel. Allow multiple filter for per field. For example, if I'm allowing this, if grand total rows and column is allowing this, then multiple filter allowed this, the all the field. Now I'm doing this value on the basis of this parameter. Display, yes. Here the display one option A to Z value. It's a very useful from your side. Classical pivot table layout. This is a classical pivot table layout. We will use this as classic pivot table use. We will use the different pivot table. This is all are the classical pivot table you will be used. If you are not use the classical pivot table, then you will display this value. Show the expand corresponds button. We will not show this, so only for difference value. This buttons you can show here. This is a pivot table options, and display and show, and okay, you can see here this is a minus or plus value. So this is expand the value. If you don't want to expand this value, you have to completely find this value. You have to put the anything of this value. Now if I am putting right click and pivot table option, printing command, set a print titles, any print titles is set, then okay, printing title. If the printing title, when we are putting the data on the printing, at that time printing title you have to add any titles, then you have to add this printing titles. If you don't want to add, then it's okay. In the data table, yes, this command is very useful. Refresh the data when opening the file. Whenever the pivot table is open, at that time it's automatically refresh the pivot table. So make sure that every time when the open the pivot table, at that time automatically refresh. Because if F9 we will press the anytime, if I'm forgot the refresh command, F9 is a shortcut key. If I'm refreshing this command F9 and we want to not refresh the data, so we pivot table is not reflected. So we want to use when the opening the data, at that time it will be refreshed. So automatically refresh the data when opening the file. So whenever the opening the file, at that time it is automatically updated with your file. So make sure that this command is enabled, because if it is a enable, so you have to use the particular command. So you have to clear idea about the refresh command. On the basis of refresh command, F9 is a refresh the data. Whenever you refresh the data, it is automatically refresh the value. So you have to clear idea of the refresh the data when the opening the file. So you don't want to refresh in every place. You close the file, and whenever you are opening the file, at that time it will be automatically refresh the data. This is a more important command when we use the number of item per field, automatically none or maximum. Number of item written per fields. This is a data source, alternative text, title and description. If I am using this title is aging report. I'm sorry, this is a title, aging report for created on Excel file. Done. Okay. So now this is the alternative text. It will be used this alternative text on the basis of the particular field. There are lots of other report is also available. So he told me that you have to which report, particular report is refreshed, you have to clarify first and then you can do this report, right? So now you have to clear idea about the pivot table, why we use the pivot table. On the basis of pivot table, I will do with anything with using of pivot table. And when we click on the pivot table, at that time we can do for anything with this pivot table. Clicking on the pivot table, putting on the data on a pivot table, at that time you can do anything with your pivot table. Refresh the data, clicking on the data, and putting the data on the pivot table. So at that time we have to put the data on the pivot table. We have to clear idea about the pivot table, all the option, because pivot table is a summarize in a Excel. When we starting from the Excel, I will clarify something. This is pivot table is more useful, filter option is more useful, conditional formatting than lookup. These four options you can do anything with your Excel, right? So, okay, friends, we will do in the next lectures, next parameters, subtotal, all these things. Thank